All right, welcome everyone. My name is Nichel Anderson. Thank you so much for joining me for my podcast show, Surviving Your Journey Towards Success. In this particular episode, starting in the new year, 2019, this topic today will focus on dealing with abandonment, that there is a way out for mental peace. So that's basically what I will be focusing on today, which would be episode 50 here. So let's go ahead and get started. So in this day, I am thankful to the prime creator of all things, that I give thanks for this blessing and opportunity, that I will use it for the greater good. Okay, so welcome my survivors of the journey to my podcast that aims to inspire and motivate you, so you will continue to have joy, peace of mind, and for your sustained success. Let's go ahead and get started. So today I wanted to focus on abandonment because I think a lot of people deals with that. I think that's part of that whole EP that I like to use to stand for emotional pain, old emotional pain. That's key, and that it holds us back, and that it comes back up in our later in our lives, and it can take away our joy and definitely our mental peace. So I want to focus on that today and give you some strategies to succeed. I also have to make a note to make some announcement that what's going on with my podcast going forward. But basically the main point, so let me focus on that. The main point I would like to talk about is that abandonment deals with a particular person that for whatever reason, just mostly it's about them, wants to not be there, wants to not show up. And it takes a lot out of you to accept that, sometimes years. So dealing with abandonment is the most troubling aspect that we experience in life, but it's not the end. On the contrary, it is only the beginning for you to start thinking in a way of acceptance, that even though that person chose to not be in your life, chose to cause great harm. I think abandonment is right up there where you get verbal abuse because they're not seen, just like it's not spoken. They're not heard from. Just like if you do hear from a particular person, they wish to bring you down and be mean spirited. So it's the abandonment of the commitment to love you, and you deserve to be loved and deserve to be acknowledged. So abandonment, I think, is really deep. And so the important point of that is that abandonment doesn't define you. You have to define your own path. And sometimes you have to reinvent your thinking. Your emotions are tied to that episode. And I'm just going to go ahead and share something about myself. In truth, I experience abandonment a lot. You can have an abandonment and the person is in your life. That type of abandonment deals with the person that, for whatever reason, they want to not give you what you need. It's like they're holding it. They're restricting to give that to you, and that deals with control. So they abandon the agreement, or they abandon the expectation that they sold you, that they will give you the love and the care and the dependency that you need. Now, right now I'm talking about a personal type interaction, but we can bring this to a professional standpoint. As an employee or even as a manager, the employee can abandon the job where you invested in the employee to be a part of the team and support it whatever way. And but the employee did a 360, I like to say, changed it up and didn't commit, didn't show up, or they showed up, they wasn't producing like they should, and then vice versa. The employee accepted the job, and the company, the leadership, did a 362 and didn't give them what they needed, either in training, even in resources, or even encouragement and support. So that's the professional side of that. And then the personal side is what I initially talked about. And I think that's really painful. I think the stress can come definitely in both aspects, your personal life, your professional life. But abandonment, I think, in the personal aspect is more deep because you're tied to the person more emotionally. Over time, the job, not saying that you will never forget that experience, but it seems to be more or less as you progress on and get other jobs and move on or have your own business and so forth. Where personal, it's like tar. They don't want to leave. You don't want to leave. It can go on and on. So the wisdom point, to get to my wisdom point of my segment today, is that you have to value yourself, that whatever that person decided to do in the scheme of abandonment do not define your worth. You are something of worth. You are important. Your life is important. And you are significant to the schemes of the circle of life. So you have to continue. You have to replay what I just said. You replay it, you write it out. You do whatever you need to do, so when those moments come, and it's tied to the old emotional pain, okay? I don't care if it's been a recent abandonment or you think you're going to get abandoned. I'm telling you, it's always rooted in the beginning of your cycle of life. And if you continue to tell you that, I'm telling you, it's not going to be overnight. Sometimes the wounds are deep and the truth hurts. Truth is like medicine. It's that it's a taste that you never tasted before. That's what truth is when it comes to heal the parts that we don't see but we feel. But it needs to be healed, because that's going to help you to get that's going to give you your mental peace. So let's talk about the why. Okay, why is this so? Why do people abandon? Why do they do it? Their insecurities, the way they think about themselves, and most of the time it's also control. And control, and I need to write this down. I need to do a podcast on the mechanism of why people feel they need to control others. And I'm serious, I'm writing this down. I need to do a podcast on that, because I experienced that as well. And I couldn't understand, why would you want to control someone else when you can barely control and manage your own life? But for some reason, that's what people do. So abandonment is tied all up in that. Abandonment is like a mechanism that works in alignment to define if you're worthy or not. Because sometimes we think, oh, are we worthy? Maybe if we were worth more or something like that, they wouldn't leave. It's not about you, it's about them. And they know what everybody has responsibility. Sometimes it's not our responsibility in the circumstances. Sometimes it is. Abandonment, especially if you know you're supposed to be there. You have a role, you have a title in this, you got to be there. And that could be from a father, mother, brother, uncle, cousin, godmother, whatever, husband, wife, you have a responsibility. As long as you're holding your end, the other person's supposed to as well. And when they're not, then they're not all in. And you have to be all in life. You can't be out, because when you're out, you fall. And when you fall, that's not mental peace, and that's not joy. So I feel that abandonment, why does it happen? It happens because the other person doesn't value themselves, and the other person is either not thinking in the continuing of their relationship that is healthy. And sometimes they want to control your emotions so you can do what they need to do and they can feel better about themselves. So they're not dealing with whatever emotional pain they're going through, right? Their pain is deeper because they won't deal with it. Whenever you don't deal with something, does it get better or does it get worse? It get worse. So let's focus on who are we actually talking about? We're talking about the individuals that I mentioned, either in your personal life, that are people are tied to you, and you have this connection, this emotional connection. That's why I said this is rooted in old emotional pain. All right, well, I like to say EP, because the person who it is one that your heart adores, or your heart was believed to think that that person will always be there. And this can be our friends, and then all of a sudden they just stop being there. They stop being the support that you need. And you have to reconfigure that. That's why I say it's a mechanism, because it's something that works in alignment either for you or against you. The abandonment, to me, of definitely, if you can tell, works against you. And then the person that's doing it know that they're doing it. They know they need to show up at the bus stop. They know they need to be there. And sometimes they stay away and they too afraid and they're ashamed. All that comes from guilt. And guilt is one of those family members of Mr. Fear. And so that's who we're talking about. Those that won't have the courage to admit not necessarily what they did wrong, but what they need to do. So, what are some of those symptoms when we choose? Because there are roads in this, right? The roads are the two different. There's several roads actually, but the more important road that you have to choose, the road of the journey that you have to choose, is either you're going to believe the message that they're sending you, because they're sending you this. You're not worth it. You're not something that I feel that I can put my attention to. So you're insignificant. Well, I'm here to tell you that's a lie. It's a big lie. It's a spiritual lie. It's a spiritual crime, especially if it has been going on for a long time and they have not even tried to repent, to say anything. Sorry, nothing, make it up, nothing. I'm telling you, it goes all the way up to the spiritual plane. And I mentioned this before. It's the physical plane, it's the spiritual plane. The spiritual plane, I like to describe that as, for those that have different religious beliefs, different spiritual beliefs, what have you. To me, it represents something that you feel, but you cannot actually put your hands on it. You can't touch it compared to the physical realm. And once you understand those two aspects, you begin to learn to balance the way you think, the what you do, how you feel, because you have to choose in this matter. So what it feels like, or what it is when you actually do see it with your physical eyes, is depression. Abandonment, I think, is the primary choice of drink when you're in abandonment state of mind and believing what they make you feel, that you're not worthy, that you're insignificant, that they can go on for months and years and don't even reach out to you or show up, don't say the things that they need to say, even though they are in your life, and they just be quiet or won't say anything. Or if they are saying something, they're saying something very unloving and not supporting. That is abandonment. It's not just when the person is not in your life, they can also be in your life and not giving you what you need. And I have said this before since I started this podcast. Everybody needs nourishment. Everybody. And when you don't have that, then that's where you come in a sense of value, defining your value. And so if you choose to define your value as less, then you go into depression. And depression is very, very serious, because you ask about your existence. Is it worth it? What does it all matter? Am I significant in someone's life or that life? Would they need me? Yes, we do. We need you in a circle of life. So you have to choose the other road. You have to choose the other path of your journey. And you have to say, no matter what, if they choose to do that, so be it. I'm bigger than them. Because guess what? I'm acknowledging what I need. I'm dealing with my emotional pain as best as I can. Okay? And I'm being there for other people that needs me. Because abandonment goes to the spiritual plane. It goes deep. Because it was an agreement. And you agreed to be there. You agreed to show the support. And when you don't, it causes havoc. A lot of people that in their earlier years is having these issues now, from depression or whatever type other things that they're dealing with, to stuff the pain. I guarantee you, somehow, some way in their life, they experience abandonment. And it gets worse when they leave and then they come back, or they stay and they're just, it's not worth it. In the same way, and you can flip it with the professional life too. They say they will fix it and stop the toxicity. They don't. They continue to wreak havoc on your mind. And so you feel the abandonment of trying to figure out your job or figure out how to make it work. And it's just a stressful experience. Abandonment is awful. It is awful. I really have to say, it is the most worst thing you can do to somebody. You ever witness where it happened in your life, or you heard about it? And just picture this, that someone you're supposed to pick up at the airport, they don't have any way to get home, and they call everybody else, they're not showing up, and they came with other people and all their rides picked them up, they was on time, and they called you at the last minute and you said, I'm going to be there, but for some reason you were late or you wasn't on time or whatever initially, right? And they're sitting out there outside the airport waiting, and everybody that they was on the plane with them got in the car, they left, and they're just standing there. And let's say it was raining or what have you, but you kept through because you felt, I got to be there for my friend. I got to, continue to go through all this weather and get down there. And the person don't call, but they're just sitting there like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And then you pull up, through the rain, and the person looks up right when despair was going to happen, like how are they going to get home, what they going to do. Let's just say there was no taxis or whatever, right? So you're in a state of mind like, I don't know what I'm going to do. It's maybe the holidays, whatever. It's late at night, maybe, and it's hard to find another way home. So that experience that person is waiting, then you pull up and their eyes and their whole facial expression lit up because they felt like, wow, he cared enough or she cared enough to help me out, to come still, this last minute and to pick me up. And there's just a joy on their face, and they feel that they matter. They feel that they was worthy enough, that you did something for them, that you sacrificed your warm home or what have you and got in the car and risked it all to make sure that they wasn't left behind. You feel me? So abandonment to me is when the person don't show up and you're there standing in the rain. That's some hard substance to accept. But you got to pull up and say, I'm going to make it anyway. And that's what you have to do. So let me give you some strategy to succeed of how you can deal with abandonment and get your mental peace. Every day you have to make affirmations, and you have to tell yourself, you can keep it short and simple. I am somebody that within the circle of life, I give the fruit of the harvest, meaning that you contribute to things that need to make life go on. It's like a link. So I am somebody within the circle of life. So you have to do some affirmations like that. And I would do it every day when you wake up, when you brush your teeth, wash your face, whatever. And I would say it when you go to sleep. And you keep doing that in the beginning of the day and then at night. The second thing is you got to write out the scene that you remember, the abandonment that had happened. Okay, that helps. Just write it out what happened. And when you write it, that might brings up the emotional pain connected to it, but you're writing it out, and it does help. So you can look at those words, and sometimes I don't care what comes to you. If you want to say something, call the person out, whatever you got to do, it's okay. The bottom line is that you just do it, and that helps you to get to your breakthrough. It helps you to come up with a strategy to be able, like, okay, that's how I feel right now, that's how I felt before. And then how you deal with all of that is just talking it out. Sometimes you can write a letter. Sometimes you can just record yourself what you really want to say. You get somewhere real quiet and you let it out. And after that, you have to come back and say another affirmation. I'm still strong. I'm still somebody. Right? That's what you got to do. You got to talk positive to yourself, and go and listen to one of my podcasts where I say self-talk, how you can self-motivate, and you got to practice that self-talk. So let me get to your task to dusk to dawn. Your task to dusk to dawn is basically think of those moments where someone did not abandon you. It's somebody. It could be a stranger. Heck, if you say, I can't think of nobody, well, heck, think of me. Okay? Nichel, she makes sure she get those podcasts out every week and be committed to get some good info and some positivity in your life. All right? I didn't abandon this project. I kept with it. Okay? I kept with it. All right? We'll be going on, 2 years? So, yeah. So think of that. That's what you got to remember. You keep playing those positive times where the person did not abandon you. And that's what you hold on to. And the ones that did, over time, it's not going to hurt as much. And you're going to get stronger. You're going to rise above that like a phoenix. And you're going to get to those that are your true family, your true friends, and the true people that care. Just because we was not born in the same family or grew up in the same neighborhood doesn't mean we're not connected. We are connected. And once you understand that, you get your breakthrough, you come more stronger. So your motivational takeaway is just that. Abandonment does not define you. You define it, you file it away. You're not necessarily going to forget totally about it, but it's not something that's constantly on your desk to say, look at me, look at this, remember this, how you feeling now? I don't think you this and I don't think you that, so I don't need to show up. Who cares? Because actually you don't matter. and you deal with your own things. That's what you're telling the person, or what happened in that abandonment, that they're thinking, well, I did this to you. No, they did it to themselves. And now you have to detach from that and look yourself in the mirror like, I'm still the best. I'm still worthy of something. And I'm going to live my life with joy, forgiveness in my heart, and in my mind. I am going to keep my mental peace because I am somebody. Me today, just to let you know, I create professional development and personal enrichment courses. Right now I have the Blueprint for Success, and I also have leadership. The Blueprint for Success is for personal enrichment, giving you that personal development in the sense of working on areas to make you strategize more better, make you identify the areas you want to work on, to identify your goals and make it happen. The professional aspect, of course, is that leadership, to help you to be a better leader and a prestige leader. Okay, and so go ahead and check those courses out. If you have any questions, you can contact me at info@nichelanderson.com. You will see those links regarding my courses and my email at the bottom of the description of this podcast episode. Also, don't forget to sign up for my newsletter. Go ahead, if you've been joining me for a while, go ahead and drop your email. I do not spam, and that can help you to further get a feel for my courses, or even some information I want to provide that I'm not doing the podcast. Okay, so let's stay connected. Sign up for my newsletter. Also, I have a book. My book is titled Corporate America: Surviving Your Journey Towards Success. You can get that at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or any bookstore. Go ahead and buy that book. Get in the know. And I also just want to ask to continue to follow me, or if you haven't followed me on my social platform, I am on Twitter and Facebook, mainly those two. So go ahead and follow me. I do every week on Twitter motivational quotes that I write, and also sometimes I quote things that are motivational, things that I think about, things that I think people are thinking about, and giving them an aspect of that. So go ahead and check that out. And just to recap, that this podcast will release every Monday by 10 a.m. So thank you so much. All right, have a good one. In my closing, I want to say thank you again for joining me today. Here is my closing statement for you. Be you that strengthens and inspires your ability to be strong in your journey endeavor. It's a good thing towards your mental peace and joy, always to your success.